after quite a cloudy start in parts of the south and temperatures getting up to 5 or 6 degrees. Now, if you want a more detailed or regional weather forecast, you can always text the numbers on your screen right now.
And lift and pour and lift and get ready for the good weather with Avonmore Slimline Milk.
It's that time of the month when most people will be about to receive their first pay packet since the budget. So what can we expect? Here to chat about that, along with how to use your P60, perhaps to claim back tax entitlements, is John O'Connor from Red Oak Tax Refunds. Check out their website, by the way. The full details there also. John, you're very welcome. Let's take this from base. Explain, I suppose, what this universal social charge is all about.
Thanks, Ed. Well, the universal social charge was introduced in December's budget. And what happens is you're taxed at 2% on your first 10,000 of income. Then from 10,000 to 16,000 of income, you'll pay 4%, and above that, you'll pay at 7%. Now, 7%, that 7% rate doesn't apply to people over 70, and it was announced yesterday a change in the finance bill, if it goes through, that medical card holders will only have to pay to the 4% level.
OK, so that's a little bit of good news there for some folk. So let's have a little look then at how it's going to affect people at different income streams. Say, starting at maybe 15 grand a year, somebody might be working part-time.
That's it, yeah. So
they'll be hit. Everyone's going to be hit by this. There isn't anyone who's exempt.
There is actually, if you have a look at the graph, we've got a lot of big bad numbers there, but you've got on the 30 grand level, you've got some people actually might be better off. And the reason because this is happening is that the whole, the old health levy kicked in if you earn more than 500 a week. So at 27,000, you would have paid 1,100 in health levy. At 26,000, you paid nothing. Now,
yeah, exactly.
That meant you were better off being on 26,000 than on 27,000, which was just a very inequitable situation. So we're seeing a correction of that at about, it'll affect people from 26 up to 35, that they could be a little bit better off. You can see that somebody on 25,000 on an annual basis is down about 936, which is equivalent to what a person on about 50,000 is down. So that was a deliberate. The government said that they wanted people on lower pay to
everyone to pay their way, I suppose. And I know I can understand what you're saying, but it is very harsh. I mean, if you're at that level, you're going to be struggling now. A lot of people will be struggling, and it's very unfair. Similarly, then, let's look at a married couple.
Yeah. Now, on our next graph, what we see for a married couple is that, so this is a single income. It's a little bit more severe at different levels because your tax credits have been reduced, not just for yourself, your PAYE, but you're also for your spouse's tax credits come in. Like, these figures we're giving you here are actually the best case scenario. So if you're making contributions to a pension, or if you're a trade union member, if you're renting, your situation will be worse than what we're seeing here.
And this, again, is strange because on one hand the government is sort of saying, look, you know, this pension crisis has got to hit in another few years, so if you're working, buy into a pension, because if you don't, we'll bring in legislation to make sure you're buying into a pension. But yet now they're going to tax us and levy us on that.
Yeah, that's absolutely
and they've reduced
the case. Yeah, so, and like this year what's happening is that while they haven't changed the amount of income tax relief you get in a pension, last year if you paid into a pension, €100 into a pension, you paid 2% income levy on this. This year, you're paying the 7% universal social charge plus the PRSI is now being charged on, so you're paying 11%. So it's not like in future years they're saying they'll reduce the relief from 41 to 34, 27 down to 20, but it's already kicking in this year.
And when they do that, you'll still be paying through the nose in tax as well. So basically the benefit you were getting last year and in 2 years' time will be completely, the figures will be shocking. Yeah. Do you not think that will discourage people from buying into a pension?
Oh, it's got to. I think at this stage they're trying to promote people actually to spend as well, because I think when there's very little money in the pocket, they don't really want people saving, they actually want people spending. And I think this initiative, whether it's deliberate or not, will actually promote people to say, well, do you know what, maybe I'll wait a few years before I start topping my pension up now. I think what should be brought in is something where people have, once you get closer to retirement, you should be able to get a higher tax relief. OK, that would make sense. Maybe they'll look at that. Maybe the new government will look at that when the time comes. Now, revenue documentation drops to the door, the P60 comes in. People tend to say, oh, that's great, throw it in the drawer. They don't even look at it in some places. And you get an extra piece of paperwork this year. You got the income levy certificate, which you won't get next year, but you'll get that. And we've, even a colleague of mine got an income levy certificate refund already. But when you're getting the P60 this year, you really have to look at it as the first step. Quite often, it doesn't fully reflect your situation. So you take your first job might have been down the pub sorting out the green bottles from the brown bottles, and you told revenue that's what you're doing, and they told the employer, and that's what's applied. Now, as you grow older, you might move out of the house, you might change job, you might get married, have children, break up, whatever the case may be. Different tax credits apply in increment, and they can affect. And if you haven't told revenue or get your tax agent to, and they don't tell your employer, you will end up paying the wrong amount of tax. So that tax credits number, don't take it as exactly correct. Now, that's what we do. We look at people's situations and identify areas in which they might be overpaying tax and get that back.
And get it back for them. That's at Red Oak Tax Refunds, of course. Is there a typical area that people can pursue that the entitlements in terms of we've all read about the trade union expenses, you could claim that back in the past. Are there any other areas like that people might not be aware of?
There's one that's not talked about an awful lot, but there's in excess of 200 different jobs that you get employment expenses for, and these employment expenses, they reduce the amount of income you're taxed, that's taxed. So that could save you, for some jobs over 4 years, over 1,000 in tax refunds. So that's everything from working in retail, if you're a mechanic, especially if you're a teacher, a guard, if you drive a bus, a plane, a boat.
There are allowances there for you?
There's an awful lot of allowances there. So make sure that your employment, it's strange that your employment is properly reflected. There's some very odd ones, like if you are in PAYE employment and you do some freelance acting, if you start in Braveheart or something, you get a tax credit for that. So you'd never guess at some of the ones that are given.
All right, and your company, of course, will fill people in that. What do you say, though, to people who are watching and sort of say, I'll leave it, because if I go in looking for a refund, or if I go in to get things straightened out, I get a huge bill? Yeah,
well, one thing you can do, we have a tax refund calculator on our website, and if you have your P60, you can put the information into it, and it'll tell you how much of a refund you should be due. So we analyse your situation, where you're married, single, rent, so we look for all the common tax credits, but also you can call us and we can talk through your situation with you.
On a one-to-one basis,
everyone's situation is different. You can, if you want to call back, you can text refund and your name to 50015, and we'll get back to you, or if you're near a computer, at redoak.ie. But generally there aren't underpayments there. The one area that sometimes gets wrong is say single parent tax credit. You can't be cohabiting with somebody, and I always feel that that's not something that should be carried forward. Because that changes.
Just finally, John, if you find yourself in a situation whereby through inexperience, or you just didn't understand, and you have been underpaying for the past maybe 2-3 years, will there be penalties and fines on that, or do you just owe the outstanding amount?
Generally, as a PAYE worker, if it's in complete innocence, for smaller amounts, you can. What happened is that your tax credits going forward over the next few years might be reduced.
So you'll pay it back over a period of time.
Generally, in some situations, if they might look for a cheque, but generally it's a case of reducing tax credits going forward. So you don't write a cheque.
All right, John. Thanks indeed. RedOakTaxRefund.ie is the website. Thanks indeed for joining us this morning. John O'Connor there. Now, over 100,000 people in this country are living with the skin conditions or ISIS, but recent research revealed that 1 in 2 sufferers fail to use treatments as directed by their family doctor. Now, after the break, we'll be finding out how a new dedicated iPhone app is helping psoriasis patients. See you in a few minutes.
The heat.